when he said this little guy got a workout, thank God you showed your phone.
Few months, that may change.
Maybe.
When there are bottles of Mountain Dew that clearly do not have Mountain Dew inside of them, you have
It's
a
a bit yellow
problem.
with it used to be.
That's not mellow yellow, kids. Don't drink that.
Yes. Aww.
I feel we are perhaps missing the elephant in the room. A new Avatar game is coming out. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hey Poor podcast. I am your host, Jonathan Trussler, and here with me today we have Josh Speer.
Howdy.
We have Benny Carrillio.
Hello.
We have Jon Davis.
Hello.
And we have a all-new contributor, all-new podcast guest. Please introduce yourself, sir, for our new listeners.
I am Cory Clark, or as some have called me, the Nut Train.
Yes, Nut Train, New Train. Yes, viewers of the last couple episodes may remember New Train and his brilliant questions, inspiring some conversation, and they were so inspiring, he's been brought aboard as a contributor to Hey Poor Player. Isn't that a Cinderella story? It's like rags to riches, you know. It's very
And I
inspiring.
can't get rid of me.
Yeah. Okay, well, an inspiring story to a horror story. Talking of horror story, like Benny's is in a frame right now. There are ants nibbling at his anime figurines. So
Yeah, it's a war. I must protect the waifus as best I can, but we're going to postpone this war to try and bring you some great content today, because, as you may have known, there was a thing called E3, I think, that happened. Might have been important.
yeah, some kind of video game related thing. Yes, well, all online this year, all online, and we're going to talk about that right now. Okay, everyone, what do we think of the online E3 this year? Do we think that's kind of changed things significantly? Do we think we're going to see more kind of online stuff in E3 in future, or do you think once Corona's over, things are going to go back to normal?
Going right to the heart of the matter, aren't we?
Yeah, go on. Why not?
Okay. Anyone mind if I kind of go first, I guess? in this case?
Go on.
Feel free. Go on,
Professor
mate.
Professor Benny, give us your lecture.
Okay, so for many of you at home, I don't think this was a major change, and if you don't go to the show, I hope it was business as usual for all of you. This kind of format may work just because of the fact there is a lot of streaming. You can basically see I want to say panels, but really kind of presentations, etc. And they're kind of what you've probably been used to watching over the last couple of years. For people who attended the show, it is very different, and I'll divide that into two camps. One, or you have the people who kind of just go as either industry, and even then, that's kind of cheating a little bit because they do have a job to do there. So let's actually say just the fans in the last couple of years. The fans who went there to go ahead and get their hands on demos of the latest games and kind of to see for themselves what was going on and to enjoy the spectacle of E3, that obviously wasn't there. And I think there needs to either E3 will have to come back to fulfill that need, or you're going to have to go ahead and see something take its place. For us as press, and I want to preface this by saying I know the ESA worked hard to kind of throw this together. I'm not trying to be a jerk about this in the slightest, but this was a really difficult E3 to cover. Sure, we could go ahead and we could cover press releases as they came out, and we can write things up as we saw them. But we normally, to kind of pull the curtain back just a little bit for the rest of you, normally with situations like these, we spend about a month beforehand talking to companies, booking meetings so we can get hands-on demos, that we can go ahead and write up and tell you, hey, here's about this game. This is what we like about it. Maybe the controls aren't quite there yet. Set up interviews, things like that. And this is also where we go and we make contacts with companies we may have never heard of, to go ahead and bring you fresh content you may have never heard of. And that entire aspect there is completely kind of lacking in this digital form. I know that they tried with the online booths. kind of may have worked better in their heads, but because I think there was a lot of limited access for that because they were worried about things getting, not really the ESA, but the companies were worried about maybe things getting leaked before they were ready, which of course is always a major issue at E3. So does it kind of work? It depends where you're at. If you're at home, hopefully no change for you. I hope you enjoyed the show and you saw some great stuff, and hopefully you read some of our articles and were like kind of what you saw. For those of us who are used to an in-presence, show, or who, even just attend the show to attend the show, this is not a replacement. We need in-place shows again.
I think it's simpler for me, and Benny made some really good points. It's simpler for me. This isn't the first E3 I've attended as press. It isn't the first E3 that I've attended as a fan. I mean, I've never attended an in-person one. It's simple as it didn't feel like there was any energy behind it. It was boiled down to its constituent parts, which was to demonstrate games, right? I think it was last year or the year before when Keanu got up on stage, and then someone spontaneously, said, "You're breathtaking." Yeah, you're breathtaking. And no, you're breathtaking. It's like that was a magic E3 moment, and there's been loads of them, right, over the years. And this year, right, that hasn't happened. There hasn't been as much energy around it. There hasn't been as much excitement around it. And for me, I think that's what makes E3 E3. The games are obviously a really important part of that as well. They're like the central part of it. But I feel like the energy, the excitement, and the just general feeling of like happiness and awesomeness that just wasn't there. It was just vapid.
I would agree. Like, especially kind of when we were watching Gearbox's presentation, they tried to be kind of a bit funny with it. But it felt a bit forced because, we're just watching a movie of jokes. We're not kind of seeing like someone on stage and maybe they try and tell a joke and it bombs. Or maybe they tell a joke and it goes well and people laugh and maybe there's a heckler or something. It just felt like a series of trailers, really. Yeah. And you're right, it's kind of missing that kind of crucial spontaneity, that human element.
I do want to caveat what I said. Like, I'm not shitting on the people that have done this because, basically, it's it's COVID, it's rubbish. Like, they're doing the best that they can, but that's just how I feel.
Do you know what I think would have been awesome? Now, I know this probably would have been very expensive and difficult, and this is just my silly fantasy here. But I think it should have been like a 1990s sort of VR kind of thing, where we're kind of like in Myst, where we're moving around through the booths and we can actually like turn our heads around and look at them. And I think something like that would have been kind of cool. They kind of made it like a mini game out of E3.
Or move it from LA to like a country where there was like low COVID cases, and then they could have maybe done it there instead. And it would have been the first E3 to have not taken place in Los Angeles, and it would have been able to pilot this tremendous concept that E3 is a traveling show that goes anywhere around the world, year after year after year. That's what I would have done. I would have done that, and invited and you could have done it in the way that they've done football, for instance. Like, they invite local fans first. They get first dibs on it, and it give people who would ordinarily not get the chance to go to E3 to be able to go to E3 and say they were part of it.
The problem with that though would be that people, it wouldn't be able to people all around the world wouldn't be able to come though, would they? It would have to be
quarantine.
It would have to be mainly the people in those areas, right?
The bigger problem, I think, and I'm gonna just kind of reach out on a limb I would guarantee the ESA has some agreement with the city of Los Angeles. That's why they couldn't, because otherwise Las Vegas and Texas, they'd take their convention in a heartbeat, especially Texas, because there's a ton of game companies out there now that have some sort of corporate headquarters out there. Or even if they don't have the corporate, they have some sort of manufacturing and processing out there. So, it's a great idea. And I think at some point, unfortunately, E3 is going to have to move out of that convention center just because that convention center is big. And I mean, E3 does utilize it well. Eventually, I think the way that they're going, especially if they keep wanting to have more and more fans there, they're going to run into the AX problem, which is another show that comes up would normally be coming up in about 2 weeks. That takes place in the same building. That place is completely packed like sardines in a can. So if they want to expand the show more and more, eventually they will have to move it. But I do wonder if they have some agreement with Los Angeles where they just can't do it until a contract is up.
Who knows?
Hmm.
Who knows?
Okay.
I just want to say
Yeah.
real quick on the E3 topic, there's no substitute for being there in person. I've been to E3 a couple times in person. I've been to PAX West more, and it's just there's something lacking about just doing it digitally. I had some fun covering it this year, but it's just I don't know. Maybe it was what John was saying about the lack of a spark or something. It's just not the same.
We were going through the motions, it felt like, more than anything
Yeah.
else.
And there was some good stuff this year, but it was different.
Okay, so moving on. Right, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and kind of ask people sort of like what's most interested you? What did you really want to talk about? And I think let's start with Cory, I think, because he hasn't had so much of a chance to talk. Cory, what did you really want to talk about?
I want to talk about the fact that Metroid Dread finally got its name out there, because I've been clamoring for that since I played through Metroid Prime 3 in 2007. And then when I saw that name, I'm like, you guys are playing with a very hot fire. You keep it under control, and I'm going to go buy me a Switch the next day. The only reason I haven't got one now is because I was waiting to try and find a good deal, but I'm willing to shell out the extra money if they pull this off right. And it looks like they did. They're going back for that survival horror kind of setup they had with Fusion, and I really love Fusion. SAX scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, and if they managed to make that giant robot of theirs do the same thing, I can't help but think of that thing as a giant angsty older brother to Peabody and Atlas. It's hard not to see that, but man, it's just the imposingness of it. They have got a good recipe sitting for them, and I hope they cash in on this.
Yeah, I'll say I'm not really all that familiar with Metroid in and of itself. I've played a couple of the games. I've played Fusion. I liked Fusion. In fact, it was the first Metroid game I've really kind of got into, mainly because I'm really a story guy, and even though I know a lot of people didn't necessarily like all the dialogue and stuff in that game, it gave me something to at least kind of mull over and a goal. I did play Super, and then I did play Other M, and I'm also really weird in that camp where I see why people love Super. It's not my type of game, and then I liked Other M. So I'm not really the best Metroid person to talk about, this stuff. But when I saw the name Dread, I know of the legend of Dread, and that basically, yes, they got stuck in development hell and was just done. And then like, wait, all right, no Metroid Prime 400. Okay, fine. Oh, we've got a new Metroid 5. What is this? And then at the end, just Dread, and I just went, nope. Okay, at that point, you have my money. I will play this because I want to see at least what, kind of like that idea of the game that was never supposed to be is now exists. I'm going to buy it at least just for that. And it looks like I'll at least have some fun with it. So, I did watch Treehouse.
How long they had it hiding? Like, how long did they hide this? I'm really curious to learn now. And, like, how long has it been sitting there hiding under the wraps for this?
Yeah.
So I wrote up some of the dev log that came out the same day they announced it, and it sounds like it only exists because they were so happy with Samus Returns, the remake, and they're like, Mercury Steam, here you go, make this for us. It's like, okay. So
what they did with that little 3DS game was good. It looked fantastic, and it played so smooth. That was my first 3DS game that I picked up when I got it, and I was not disappointed in the slightest. Yeah. I think if they transfer all that power over to the Switch, they can make it even smoother, even more interesting, put a lot more interesting content in there. Like I said, I think they're playing with a really, really well-maintained fire here. They got something good going.
You could argue it's high risk, high reward, but it's one of those that it looks like it's more like they know what they're doing with this. So I was impressed by the Treehouse, and I'll just throw this out there. The Treehouse was one of the few pillars of E3 that I was at least glad was there because we could see in-depth demos for stuff. I did watch the second live stream they did for that, and I quite liked it. I especially liked the fact that you get caught by the Emmy, and that's it. You might have one quick chance to counterattack that thing, but your goal is do not get caught by this thing.
It's just like SAS. It's meant to add tension and scare the crap out of you when it does show up. And they proved they can work that formula in Fusion. I think they can do it again.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. So, yep, something to be excited about. John, did you want to talk about Stalker 2?
I did, but like more the wider strategy that Xbox and Microsoft have embarked upon
Oh,
over the
all right.
last
Go ahead.
over the last few years has interested me tremendously, and we're starting to see that come to fruition, especially after the last show at E3, the Microsoft show, because they've been buying up studios like left, right, and center, like the latest
Yeah.
being Bethesda, which they paid like what was it, 10 billion or something like that, some crazy number of money, right? $10 billion they paid for it, and they've just got a litany of exclusives now. The new one, Starfield, that's coming out next year. Another game that they demoed at the end that evades the name of it evades me. I can't remember. And they've got a whole bunch of other exclusives, and it's all starting to finally make sense. The accusations leveled at Microsoft. They've got no exclusives. I'm not a fanboy, by the way. I just found it very interesting. And sorry, they've got no exclusives compared to PlayStation, right? They have a very expansive back catalogue, but I was just interested, to see they've been playing the long game, and that all came in. I think this E3 because out of all the shows that I saw, in terms of breadth of games, I felt that Microsoft really delivered. A significant amount there, and it just compounds the value of the Game Pass, I think. But one of the things I saw on the Microsoft show was Stalker 2, and I thought that was really good. The trailer got me very excited for Stalker. It's been a long time since I played the original. It was really well done. It was told from the perspective of a hunter talking around a campfire with his friends, and it cut away to really spooky moments that were in game. So I'm really, really looking forward to that one. That's coming out next year.
It was also extremely buggy. Like I remember I'd just be wandering around sometimes, and dogs, like free dogs, would spray out of thin air like a fountain. Just stuff like that would happen. And sometimes they'd be playing harmonica with air, or playing air guitar and stuff like that. It felt like a really kind of. But I think that gave it part of its charm, didn't it? It didn't feel like a big budget AAA game. It felt like this kind of gritty underdog sort of game.
Definitely.
But now with this trailer, I mean, it looks a lot more polished than it used to be.
It reminded me of Metro.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Metro, which I'm a huge fan of, actually, of both the novels and the actual games themselves. But I don't think with this latest one, with Stalker 2, I don't think you're going to see any of those sorts of bugs anymore. I think game development these days, it's just not acceptable. For a game to ship like that. I mean, we go back to Cyberpunk, right?
Yeah.
And it shipped like that, and it got shit on. And rightly so. Rightly so. They shouldn't be shipping things like that.
No.
Not at all. I mean, there's a whole other debate here, whether they actually wanted to get it out the door when they did, but I suppose we should probably ask someone else what they think about E3 instead of going on a segue like that.
I definitely thought when I first played the Metro games, it was just like, wow, this is like a more cinematic version of Stalker kind of thing. And that was really cool. So, I mean, I'm wondering, if they're going to keep more of that. But then in Metro Exodus, of course, they opened it a little bit up to the open world, a little bit, while still being quite cinematic. I'm just wondering, Stalker 2, is it going to be that same kind of just massive open world, just go anywhere, do anything?
Well, that's the big question, really, isn't it? I suspect that, if they didn't, it would really upset the purists, of the franchise. I think, being a big open world game, well, not big open world, but some kind of open world game where you can kind of experiment and play around, and see odd, strange things. I think that's kind of like core to what Stalker actually, is. Whereas like I feel with Metro, it was a AA title trying to be a AAA title, and then finally it became a AAA title.
Yeah.
When Metro Exodus launched, which I'm actually incidentally I'm reviewing at the moment, the enhanced edition for the publication. So and I've not played it, so I think I'm about an hour in. I'm really enjoying that. It's
Metro
really good.
Exodus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's just one of the best games. Yeah, I've played in a very long time. Yeah, it's very good. Very
That's
good indeed. Yeah.
High praise.
High praise
Very
indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think one more point about Stalker. I don't want to talk about it too long, but like, yeah, that kind of open world playing the original. It felt very organic. Do you know what I mean? It didn't feel scripted. It just felt like, I think that's it. It kind of felt unexpected. When things would happen, you'd hear a weird noise or something spooky or crazy would happen. You wouldn't feel like, oh, I'm going from this spooky cutscene to another spooky cutscene. It was all very just natural, and I think that kind of made it scary in a way. So I'm just wondering if they're going to kind of keep that unpredictability, that open-endedness.
I can't wait to see more. I can't wait to see more.
I'm looking forward to it. Okay, Josh, what was burning on your mind?
So, just a couple quick things. I just want to say Nintendo, I thought, absolutely destroyed everyone the day of the Direct. I think they had an amazing show, but that's not what I want to talk about. Since you guys love AAA, I want to talk about how amazing the indies at E3 were. From GameSpot to Nintendo to just even Xbox had a lot of great indies they had on Showcase, or Devolver Digital. There was a lot of really amazing games they showed off, more than I could list. The Wholesome Direct. It's just, I think that E3 needs to acknowledge that indies have a place in their show as much as the big budget games. And I think they're starting to come around, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah, Nintendo Direct. That was a controversial topic, wasn't it?
A little bit.
Cool.
Well,
Actually,
amongst some of us.
Yeah, people were starting to have an argument about it, and I say, okay, save that argument for later. And now I'm saying, go.
I just felt right. The vast majority of Nintendo's Direct was stuff they've already announced and already talked about. The majority. I'm not saying all of it. There was some new stuff in there, and that just kind of disappointed me a bit. It was very similar, I guess, to not so much Square Enix. I'm trying to think of the other
Capcom.
Yeah, Capcom. Oh my god, that was a train wreck, right?
I'll give you that.
Yeah. And I'm not saying Nintendo's was as bad as Capcom's, right? Because Capcom's was by far the worst. Like they didn't even bother, when it's like, oh, there's new DLC for Resident Evil. They didn't even bother showing anything off. They just literally someone wrote a note, put it in Comic Sans MS, and then put it on a black screen, and just there you go, we're doing DLC for Resident Evil Village. It's gonna be bloody brilliant. And it wasn't that bad for Nintendo, but I just felt, it's just there was nothing. There was things there that interested me, right? But it just felt like it's E3. Come on, do something special. Bring some magic. It was nice. It was nice. It was nice to see a slither more of Breath of the Wild 2. It was really nice to see a little bit more of that, and I really enjoyed that. Nice to see a bit of Metroid, but.
I'll say this. I understand exactly where you're coming from, because it is one of those. I think there's two things to consider. One is that just maybe the bar in this E3 has just, kind of been so low that Nintendo is one of those things that for some people, that makes the show. And I'm totally kind of one of those, because there wasn't a lot here to excite me until, they kind of popped up. The Xbox showcase had some stuff, don't get me wrong, but I'm definitely more of a Japanese gaming fan, as you probably can tell, so that's going to be more of the Nintendo preview in my case. But the other thing, too, is the Directs. Well, to be honest, Nintendo, why they do announcements, the Directs are more to inform consumers. This is what's coming soon. And they really don't deviate from that, even from some of the E3 stuff. They will, announce new things because they have new big announcements. But a lot of it is, remember, Mario Golf is coming. Hey, we'll show that in Treehouse. This game is coming out in 2 months. We'll give you the release date for SMT5, which I think the release date was revealed during that direct. If I was wrong, I apologize for that. But it's like it was more of a Nintendo Direct than an E3 Direct, which I think might be where we can maybe all sort of agree, but that's at least how I feel about it. But was I excited for it? I about threw my wallet at the TV 3 times. So yeah, no, they did a good. There's some stuff I'm sure we'll talk about if we go on, but this is not my thing I want to talk about. But just Advance Wars 1-2 Reboot Camp done. I bought it. It's over. That announcement
Fatal Frame too. Fatal Frame made me almost fall out of my chair because I've been wanting that on Switch for so fucking long. It's like finally you're physical. In Europe it's been physical, but you know what I mean. Here it hasn't been.
That series didn't get much
remember that.
love over here that much. It was a
I've
great
been
series.
waiting for that. Oh, I've been waiting to play that one particular, so that was really exciting too.
God, I think the last one I played was on the Wii U.
Yeah.
I think that was 4. What was that for?
Yeah, that was the one that that's this one, I believe, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So that was
Awesome. I
released
love
through
that.
there. It was digital only for some insane reason here, and you had to download. Even if I remember writing an article about this years ago, you had to you downloaded the demo, and then you download the unlock, and you basically needed a hard drive practically to do it. It was a mess.
It was really
That sounds
frustrating.
backwards.
Yeah.
Well,
Europe got a physical copy though.
Gentlemen,
I know.
gentlemen, I feel we are perhaps missing the elephant in the room. A new Avatar game is coming out. I mean,
That does look cool, yeah.
who's
Anyone
excited?
say they were expecting it.
Who is excited for the new Avatar game?
It looks fun.
Trailer. I didn't see the
I don't
trailer.
know what you're talking about, so I'm gonna tap out and just go. All right, fun.
I think I was writing a PR at the time when you were talking about it when we were on Discord. So I ain't seen it. I ain't got back to watch it yet.
I double checked they were talking about The Last Airbender. So I'm like,
Oh,
are you serious?
Has it been 10 years? More than 10 years?
Oh.
I think more than 10 years.
But if
yeah.
I had my poster, I
it's a
could look
long time.
downstairs. Yeah, I think it might have been around 10 years.
I mean, I know that. So James Cameron is putting together a new Avatar trilogy. So I'm thinking this is probably going to coincide with the first of those as a big.
2009. I just looked it up.
Yeah. So
2009. Oh my
12
god.
Years ago.
God.
God, I'm
Well,
old.
That is the kind of thing. So yeah, you watch this trailer and it just makes you think, "Oh God, I'm so old. I remember this." I don't
Blu-ray
think
was finally starting to get in the works, and it was ungodly expensive.
I kind of feel like Avatar, the whole franchise, it's always been a bit forced. Do you know what I mean? It was never really kind of like was it the most expensive movie ever at the time?
Yeah, man.
And like it's never really had much of a cult following. I mean, it's not like Titanic or Star Wars or things that have this enduring following. It's just, and then like I think when people announce there's a new trilogy, people are like, really? I didn't ask for this, as JC might have said. So
Hold on, one quick thing. I challenge you for the WTF moment of E3 there. It wasn't Avatar. Plumbers don't wear ties.
Oh yes, of course. The remastered version of Plumbers Don't Wear Ties.
Was that actually like at E3?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with an announcement.
We're really yeah, I mean, you said it was all about the AAA stuff. No, not quite. Yeah. So how old is that? It's like 1996. How old is that game?
How is that going to get remastered? Are they going to like literally remake
Where
the
they
entire
found? I
game?
mean, like that must have been shot. That must have been shot on VHS or something like 25. There's got to be generation lost in the original tapes now. Unless they've stored it in this kind of vacuum chamber or something.
This is just one of those things that's so ridiculous, I'm going to buy it to experience it because is it going to be good? No. It's not supposed to be.
Benny,
It's just one of those things you grab.
Benny, you are the problem in the world.
I mean,
I
it's not just him.
need fun things. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm just wondering, are they? Do you know? I mean, okay, I'm going to be a real nerd here. So, how are they remastering? Is it going to be like AI remastering? Have they found the original tapes and sort of cleaned them up? Did they originally shoot it on 8mm or something? I don't know. How are they doing it?
Magic.
I don't know. I don't know.
Because you
That's
know,
what I'm going with.
what I really love the Command and Conquer I love the remaster version of that. They cleaned up all the FMV movies. It looked really nice. It looked really good. It made me, honestly, it gave me a hunger. You know, it's like I'd like to see some of these older games just remastered in HD. Why not? So
like Red Alert 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That it made me.
Yes.
It made me smile, you know, seeing plumbers don't wear tries, because maybe it's a harbinger of more of these kind of things to come. Yeah?
I'm gonna keep watching LRG just to see what crazy crap they're gonna pop out here in the near future. Because if they're gonna hit that, I don't think anything's off the board now.
Yeah,
They're gonna hit anything.
Yeah.
they can get their hands on.
knows?
What can we get
Does
our hands
anybody
on?
know the Ripper with Christopher Walken?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll remaster that. God,
That
he
would
was
be an experience.
crazy in
I've
that
never,
game.
I've never played it myself. I've seen playthroughs of it, and it is even just watching, it is an experience.
It's got Christopher Walken being more insane than any other piece of media I've ever seen. He just cuts his own forehead for like no reason. He's a maniac, and it's also got that dude from the Warriors, you know, with the bottles, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yep.
It's a fever dream.
Anyway, back to E3. Sorry for my mad tangents here. Benny, what was your big what have you been dying to talk about from E3?
And this is where I confuse everybody. Okay, so if you're watching the North American Nintendo Direct or anywhere else, you saw everything. If you watched the Japanese one, you may have heard of a reveal, or at least a trailer drop, for something called Super Robot Wars 30. Which is kind of a big deal to at least SRW fans. We don't know if it's going to be, the actual title is going to be Super Robot Wars 30, though considering the 30 logo was made by Go Nagai, who is one of the most prolific and famous mecha, well, really just mangaka in general. If you've ever seen like Cutie Honey or Mazinger or Devilman, this is the guy who brought all of that stuff. You know, he created this stuff. So I don't think they're going to create that logo for a one-off. I think it's going to show up at least somewhere, even if it's just for the 30th anniversary celebration stuff. But there was a trailer drop. It looks like they're going to be utilizing the engine and some of the attack scenes from DD, which came out last year in Japan for smartphones. But long and short, why should you kind of care about this? If you love your mecha series, you know, you love your Gundam, you love your Mazinger, your Getter Robo, you like turn-based strategy, do you like really cool cinematic attacks?
Hang on a minute. That's the one where they just kind of take all the different franchises together and mash them all together, right?
Yep,
Like
in an
Macross
original
with
storyline.
Gundam and yeah.
Yes,
brilliant.
exactly. And it's like, and this game has actually been on pre-order from Play Asia. We don't know anything about it other than it was supposed to be the 30th anniversary title since like last year, and we've been waiting for news of some sort, but COVID. So we know that there's going to be an announcement early next month. There is some sort of live stream where we'll get the full reveal, because what we saw was just a teaser. It showed a couple of different series. We know that Combattler V is going to be in there, which is a really old school anime. But it's cool to see, you know, the really old school guys getting involved for, you know, what's supposed to be the big 30th, you know, 30th anniversary brawl. And then we've got Mazinger Infinity. We know Code Geass is going to be in there. From reports, it looks like it's going to be using Lelouch of the Rebellion. Oh, no, Lelouch of the Resurrection, sorry. So it would be the newer ones. Gao Gaigar Final is going to be in this, so we might actually see Genetic Gao Gaigar in a modern SRW. The last one we saw was in T, which came out 2 years ago, which would have been Gao Gaigar series proper. But when that live stream comes out, we'll definitely be writing up, probably me, will be writing up an article about it, because they will reveal the rest of the series, talk a little bit about what sort of systems will be in this game, and we'll also see some of the more of the attacks. But yeah, if you want, check out the article on the site. It has the trailer, the English version of the trailer. We know it's coming to at least Asia. I doubt this usually works just because of licensing. It doesn't go anywhere else. But it'll be in Asia on PS4, Steam, and Switch. You'll be able to import the PS4 and the Switch versions. Steam is not really an option just because those accounts are usually region locked based on where you created it. So the account itself. But if you're a PS4 or a Switch fan, and you want some awesome turn-based strategy, anime mecha action, keep an eye on this. It's well worth picking up. And if you want to try some of the other games, SRW X, SRW V, and T are available on Switch and PS4, and you can get them for about, probably importing, about $50 to $60, which is good because when they normally come out, if you're importing these things, it's about $70 to $90. So you can actually find them a little cheaper now. So give it a shot.
Okay, talking about, slightly tangentially, talking about strategy, I just want to talk about how much the Gearbox presentation frustrated me. So, speckled throughout the Gearbox presentation was like a minute of like, Homeworld was one of the greatest strategy games ever. And you're going, whoa, crap, whoa, here we go. And they're talking about people saying, oh, Homeworld was so amazing, and now we're finally going to go for Homeworld 3. And you're like, whoa! And then it just kind of, what are we going to see any moment? And it just cuts to something else. And then we wait another 10 minutes, and then it's another minute of Homeworld 3 is going to be brilliant. Ho-ho! And then it just keeps doing that throughout the entire presentation. And we don't see any footage. We don't see any details. We don't see anything. And about 25 minutes of the Gearbox thing was just in a blank white set, talking to the producers, the director of the new Borderlands movie. And then they talked to Kevin Hart for a bit, and he didn't have anything to say. I don't know. Is it just me, or was it a bit of a little bit of a disappointment?
It seemed like they tried to be cheeky in it. Kind of
I know. It wound me up because like they just sort of teased me about talking about a really cool old school strategy game, a new installment, and then it was just nothing. It was about rainbow unicorns. There's that kind of new sort of Borderlands-y fantasy game, where it's sort of set in a fantasy world but in the Borderlands style. Does everyone remember
it's a sequel to the Assault on Dragons.
Exactly.
Which that was a good DLC, but I want to see where this goes a little bit more before I invest any time in that. I love Tiny Tina, but I do feel like
they're milking it a bit. Yeah.
If it turns out good, great. I'll be glad to pick it up because I love that DLC. I like the aesthetic and scenery that they did for it. Funny, it's fun. I just hope that they don't overshoot too much on this.
Yeah.
See, this is what E3 needs to do: is not give us hype. They need to give us some actual gameplay, something substantive.
Yeah.
People have been preaching that one for years. I don't think they've ever listened.
I'm still preaching.
Yeah, well, I know.
I'm still preaching.
I agree with you. Preach, man. You're preaching to the choir here, because, like, I mean, so, like, if you take sort of pro wrestling or boxing or whatever, like, the rest of the year is the hype. Like, your WrestleMania, your Tyson versus Evander Holyfield or whoever. That's when the action's supposed to happen. That E3 is supposed to be when the action's supposed to happen. And then you just get let down.
I guess it's a counterpoint to the point about the pre-rendered gameplay, where it's not actually gameplay, it's just video. Is that sometimes it can be dangerous to show early gameplay, at events like E3, because it can lead developers into the trap of that perhaps they've planned a feature or an aspect of a game that isn't going to ship, at release, because the feasibility of implementing it just isn't there. It's not possible. And then obviously people have that expectation that that is going to ship as is, and then it doesn't, and then people are disappointed and angry. So I guess one way around that is by having something which isn't gameplay but shows a lot. I mean, look, I'm with you guys, right? You know, I want to see gameplay. I'm just playing devil's advocate here because that's what I'm good at doing.
Well,
even if it's not gameplay, just some kind of wow trailer that just makes you go, "Ooh, I'm excited for this!" Like a little bit of a story, you know, a flash of like a character who's been gone for 5 or 10 years. You just say, "Hey, you missed me," or something like that, and people go, "Whoa!" Even that's better than just like I don't know, talking about a game and just not showing any footage whatsoever.
Well,
but you do you do also bring up a very good point, though. You don't want to overdo it with the gameplay footage, because I think that's what Cyberpunk did. Like,
that's exactly what I was going to say.
Constantly, it was like, oh, here's a new feature that's going to be better. It's going to be like GTA, but better than GTA. It's going to be like, you know, the best first-person shooters, but better than that. It's going to be like Deus Ex of all the Cyberpunk mods and stuff, but better. So they really backed themselves into an impossible corner. Whereas if they were trying
to make a game that was just impossible to deliver, right? That was just like, I don't mean it was impossible to deliver as in like they've shipped something, but they were never going to meet people's expectations because they pigeonholed themselves into so many different, like, you know, it's going to have this feature, it's going to have this feature. It's very similar to what's happening with Star Citizen over at Cloud Imperium Games at the moment. You know, crowdfunded it like 8 years ago, and it's like literally supposed to be the best thing. I mean, there's so many features, right? So I'm going to summarize it. They literally said it's going to be the best thing ever for a space simulation, and we're 8 years on. It's still in alpha. It's never going to come out. Let's be real.
Yeah.
10 years, the most expensive game, or at least second or most expensive game ever made.
390 million. I checked, I think, the other day. Like, it's a ludicrous. I think it's 390 million. Maybe I'll check again. But anyway, it's a ludicrous sum of money. Why is it not here yet?
I just think, with something like a Star Citizen or a Cyberpunk, if they just tooled around, you know, privately with the cars and stuff and the police and blah, 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 they could have said, you know, actually, this isn't working, but we haven't, like, announced this is a major feature, so we can just take it out. You know, it'll be fine. No one will notice. But no, they backed themselves into a corner. And, like, they had that entire area, didn't they? That was basically cut from the final game, the area with all the palm trees and stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I mean, it's just amazing to me. I mean, how they managed to do stuff like this. I mean, like, does everybody know about Yandere Simulator, for example?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
and the fact that his code is a mess.
Yes, that's just one rather mad guy who's kind of got feature creep. It's like, oh, we're going to do this, and it's going to be a job system. And also going to be able to, like, kill her in about 13 different ways. And, you know, so you're going to be able to make friends with everyone. And, like, that's just one mad guy. But, like, Cyberpunk, that was meant to be like a major corporation, you know. You expect it to be these suit and tie investors who are very serious about this sort of thing. But I guess it just goes to show that, like, you know, whether you're a AAA or just one
you're not immune to it, right?
You're not immune to it. No one is. Exactly. No one is.
No. Everybody's got this thing in their mind that quantity is always going to be better than quality. It's like, I think a lot of these developers need to focus more on their core gameplay first and then show it off, not fill it to the brim. Because what would you rather drink? A beer that's almost full or a beer that's half full and got a bunch of fizz at the top?
or a beer that's like half full and then the other is just like a little bit of vodka, a little bit of absinthe, a little bit of red wine. And it just
it's all over the place. What you ordered? In the case of Cyberpunk, I think they were crippled. And we're off on a tangent here, but they were crippled by The Witcher 3. You know, one of the greatest, you know, AAA RPGs, you know, to have released in the last 10 years. And it just immobilized them. Because how can you beat that? You know, and that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to beat that. And, you know, imagine like, you know, imagine if you're Da Vinci, right? And you painted the Mona Lisa at the start of your career. Like, it's not going to get any better than that, is it? Like, you know.
I think I agree. Like that this is why I love Assassin's Creed so much. I mean, it's such a long-running series, and they've only really had one really bad mainline game. I mean, all of the rest of them, it's basically just sort of like, adding maybe one new feature each game just to test it out. But each time they focus on this is about jumping around in some kind of historical circumstance and assassinating people and sword fighting and whatever. And they just add new things with each iteration. They don't try and do everything at once. And I just wish more franchises, were like that. They take the core gameplay and they slowly build on it.
I think the best thing that happened with Assassin's Creed was that game going on hiatus. When they after Syndicate, they're like, right, we're not doing another one now for 2 years because you've had one every year now for the last God knows how long, and then they reinvented it with Origins.
But even then, it was still fundamentally about running and jumping and stealth assassin. Yeah, shanking people. Yeah, it's just that they improved the combat system a bit, but the rudiments, the core, the proof of concept was there. That's what I'm talking about. Just refinement. Don't try and remake the wheel. But anyway, this is massively off topic now. We've gone from E3 to game design theory 101. Okay, anything else anyone wants to talk about with E3 before we start moving into more personal stuff, which we kind of already have?
Is anyone else interested in Redfall?
Yes.
I saw that, I'm like, that looked really friggin' neat. Like, it made me think kind of a Left 4 Dead-ish kind of thing mixed with, like, Dishonored and Prey. I actually am kind of interested in seeing where that goes.
I'm a very,
and plus
very
they
big
don't
fan.
make stupid-looking vampires. Like, they actually have them look kind of fearsome, kind of scary, instead of some of the others that are just like, they look kind of like normal people, but they got wings. It's like, no, that actually, some of those look like little eldritch horrors. I want to see more of that.
I'm a very
Make
big
people
fan.
scared of them.
Yeah, I'm a very big fan of Dishonored. And just thinking about those guys, what they could do with vampires, I'm just thinking, wow. Because they've
already got good things under their belt. This could only go good if they really apply themselves and, like you guys said earlier, don't load it with features. Just stick with the core gameplay. Show a little bit of gameplay footage, maybe somewhere down the road. Not doesn't even have to be this year.
I mean, if they make it basically just like Dishonored, I mean, it's going to be pretty brilliant, isn't it? Because I mean, they've got a core game there, don't they?
Yeah, man.
And it's just think of some of those abilities you had in Dishonored, where you could like kind of whoosh teleport places and like create storms of crows and stuff. That would just slot perfectly into being a vampire. I just think, especially like skulking around in the night and stuff, it would just be perfect.
I'm curious if they're going to make it just exclusively 4-player co-op. You have your team, or if you get to play as the vampires later. Those are the questions that I think a lot of people are going to be interested in. What all are they going to be featuring for this? Like I said, I don't want them to overload it, but it shows some good potential in a good little area. But I wouldn't mind playing as the vampires if they're going to make them interesting. Like you said, actually give them some cool abilities that might match well with the other players.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah.
When was the last time we played a good game where you get to be a vampire? I mean, come on.
Well,
I can't even remember
the Bloodlines. Actually,
that's a given.
Vampire. I think Vampire was one that.
Oh
really,
yeah, I forgot about that.
That really divided people. I think because it was really cool. Because you'd form relationships with people before you kind of bite them or hold back or whatever, And yeah, it was this. I could kind of relate to it because it's about this middle class guy called Jonathan. He goes to London and it's a very scary place, as it is.
Speaking from experience.
Yeah, everything's massively overpriced. You go for an Indian takeout, it's like £50. And back then they had, the Spanish flu and everything, which is just as bad, I guess. Killed millions and millions of people. But yeah, I mean, Vampire was a really cool game.
Legacy of Kain is the best.
Yes.
It's been a long time since I played that, but that's the best vampire game I've ever played.
So
good. Have you played Masquerade Bloodlines though?
I haven't.
I have not, but I am now just sat here thinking of Legacy of Kain. It's been a long time since I thought of Legacy of Kain.
Well, then you'll have to play Bloodlines because it's the best. I mean, I wonder how it would be, yeah, just somebody playing it now because it was so mind blowing in like 2004, 2005. And just like with the music and the style and everything, it was a very kind of early mid noughties kind of game. I'm just play Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, John, and tell me on the next podcast what you think of it.
I will download it
Good.
if I can find it.
You can probably find it for like £4 or something right now on a sale or whatever. It'll be fine. Okay, so E3. Any last E3 thoughts before we move on to personal gubbins?
Okay, Josh, question for you. Were you going to talk about Advance Wars or Danganronpa at all?
I wasn't gonna specifically talk about Advance Wars other than I'm really happy it's getting an HD remake because I love that series. You're free to talk about both of them as much as you want, though.
Okay. Is anyone else going to talk about those, or do you want me just to hit those real quick?
Just go for it, man. Yeah.
All right. So, Advance Wars 1-2 Reboot Camp. That was my kind of favorite thing out of that Nintendo Direct. I love the Advance Wars series. In fact, a good friend of mine, we're just nerding out over the last couple of days. We're both buying copies so we can play, with each other over the Switch. But it's, I'll say I've never quite been into Fire Emblem. This is as close as, other than Three Houses, which is kind of that's a topic for another day. But this that was kind of one of my earliest turn-based strategy. Advance Wars was one of my earliest turn-based strategy series I got into, and seeing it come back, especially with the new animations, and it looks gorgeous. I'm so happy to see that. And then the Danganronpa Decadence reveal was a surprise that came out of left field. It's Switch owners. Hey, if you've never played this series, it's a really cool visual novel series. If you like stuff like Ace Attorney, you like kind of like trying to solve some crimes and basically solve some murders, really is what it is, and then present evidence in a class trial. They don't play exactly the same, but the general core idea, like if you like, walking around, getting to know people, investigating stuff, and if you love quirky, over-the-top characters that literally are the ultimate in whatever they are. I mean, their titles are like ultimate pianist, ultimate, gamer, ultimate, baseball player. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Basically, Danganronpa is anime Among Us.
Yes, it's so cool. For people who have played all the games like myself, the Danganronpa S will be nice just because we get to see all of our characters interact with each other. So I'm really cool. The only sad thing about it is no Ultra Despair Girls for Switch owners. I know that for some people that's not the best game, but it's one of my personal favorites. That's why it sits right up there on the top of that shelf up there. Hopefully, eventually, they'll port it over there. But until then, if you've never played the franchise, give Decadence a try. I think it's worth the shot.
Has there been a limited edition announced for that? Or is it just going to be launching its own little game?
No, there will be a limited edition they've unveiled what it is. I wrote an article on it there, so there is a screenshot of what's going to be in the limited, but they haven't announced the price, I don't think, and the when you can start pre-ordering it. But there will be one.
Awesome. Cool. More money to spend for me.
Yep, that is the problem with E3, and that's before we even get into
that's
the
a problem for us
week.
Japanese fans, because you know that if there's going to be a Japanese game that comes out, there's going to be a limited edition with it.
Yep, we have no space. We need more. We need bigger places.
I've had this issue for years. It hasn't gotten any better.
Nope.
All right.
So, I'm good. Anyone else got anything they want to talk about?
Okay. Oh, can you hear me okay? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I can now.
Great. Yeah, sorry, I think I was cutting out there for a sec. Okay, so I think that just about wraps up the E3 segment for the time being. It's time to move on to what have people been doing, what have people been playing recently. And I'd just like to start off with myself, John. So I've started playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Ooh!
I absolutely cannot put it down. It is just so good in every way. The sword play, just the look and feel of it is just perfect. It's just like an old samurai film. Just the motion capture is so amazing. Just the sort of stillness as he's kind of moving his sword around, and like all the Mongols are just like whoa, whoa, and they're kind of a bit more energetic, and he's just sort of like this sort of calm samurai. It just make me feel like sort of such a badass. It shows you how important those little and when he kind of you sort of put his sword back in his sheath, he just kind of goes and he just flicks off the blood.
Yeah,
It just made me feel so cool. It's unbelievable. It's so good. And yeah, just with the baths where he kind of like meditates and thinks about his family and writing haikus, just like looking into the sunset. It's amazing. And I've got to say, it's stopping me from getting back into Death Stranding. I'm sorry.
I was going to follow up on that because I did see that. Last time we did talk about Death Stranding, but so no progress on that.
Each day, it's just like, yeah, I got it. Because every day I think, could I play more Death Stranding? It's just like walking around with a big backpack on my back and talking to weirdos, or am I gonna like kind of fight about 10 different people with my
instant
samurai
gratification
swords?
monkeys on his shoulder, like stab, boxes, stab, carry boxes, stab.
Yeah, it's like the evil monkey on my shoulder saying, "Hey, you like fun and excitement, don't you?" Why do you need to play a game about walking for like a mile? I mean, you do that every day when you walk into town to do your shopping, and you carry your backpack back full of crap and talk to weirdos. I already do that.
Yeah, you did have it. Well, that's funny, right? I mean, it's like when 3 podcasts, hasn't it, where like it's come up like maybe 2 or 3 times now, and it's still on my list. I still need to play it. That's 2 recommendations from HPP staff. So, yeah, sorry about that. I will play it. I promise.
Yeah, you had best. You had best play it. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
But you recommend it then? Do you reckon so? Our listeners who may not have played Ghost of Tsushima.
Absolutely. It's so much better than I was expecting it to be. It is basically it's like Assassin's Creed if they had an Assassin's Creed based in kind of feudal Japan kind of thing.
Yeah, because Ubisoft won't friggin' do it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of even more because like you can tell they've produced it. Like there's a Kurosawa mode where you can play it in black and white in Japanese, kind of with a flickery film grain effect. So as you can tell, they have just been marathoning samurai movies just all day to kind of to get the look and feel of this game right, and it's just so brilliant. I really do recommend it. Okay, so Josh, what have you been playing lately?
So pretty recently I played and got to demo a bunch of games from a new publisher called Freedom Games, which there's some really, really cool stuff they're coming out with, including their own take on Pokemon called Koromon, which I would highly recommend to everyone who likes the genre. But what I've been doing more recently is I'm playing a game for review, and it's coming out this Tuesday called Ender Lilies, which we have a preview of it up on the site that's very insightful. My review is going to go into a lot more detail. It's basically a really dark and mournful and beautiful Metroidvania. It has a little bit of Souls energy in there, but it's not as annoying as Souls games. I tend to find them anyhow. And I just say stay tuned for my review. It's a really, really good game. That's just a quick spoiler, but I have a lot to say about it. So,
all right, okay, Benny, what have you been playing lately?
Okay, I'm gonna try and get through it as fast as I can. I am still trying to suffer through completing Yakuza 0 for all the achievements. I hate the climax battles. So, not as to not break my controller, I took a break from that. I did go back recently and play. There was a fan translation released late last year for Super Robot Wars Original Generations, which was for the PS2. I recently finished the Ryusei route of Original Generation 1 for that. Trying to find a copy of Original Generations is super difficult. It's about $100, but if you can get a copy of it, the fan translation is done extremely well. I really enjoyed it. I'm just taking a short break before I delve back into the Kyosuke route of OG1. Aside from that, let's see. I also dove back in and last night actually finished Pokemon Shield, including the post game. I am putting it on a shelf, and I never wish to speak of that again.
Oh dear.
If you love, I'll say this: if you love Pokemon Shield, I am not saying you are wrong for that. I do not like this game. It has been bothering me since I picked it up. I got to just outside Wyndham, shelve the bastard, and then finally, because a friend of mine was playing it last night, I'm like, I just need to finish this. But not my game. I don't like it. I'm kind of just done with the franchise, to be honest, aside from this Pearl and Diamond remake coming out. And then I'm going to let other people play them instead of picking up day one from now on. But the other game I've been playing, and the last one I'll talk about really quickly, is something called Our World Has Ended, which is a visual novel that got released.
I've been interested in that.
It's actually really interesting. It's about this dude who works at a video game company called Judgment 7. Because there's 7 people who basically work on it, and they're developing this VR headset that after a test occurs, they get sucked into this virtual world. And so I just finished chapter 6. There's 15 chapters on your first run through. From what I understand, on the first run through, it just ends in one particular common route, and then much like other full VNs, you then can replay the game using text skip, of course, because you don't want to have to reread everything you did. Thank God for text skip. That will allow you to then make the choices to go and follow the individual routes, including a true ending, which I think you get for completing all of them. It is yeah. I'll say the only reason I wince is because me and Death End have history.
Yeah, I read your review a while back when I was first checking out the site.
I try to be as fair as I can to, I really did, but that game I had some issues with. But I'll say what the cool thing with this one is, at least the story is very much an adult story. I mean, there is a lot of sexual innuendo thrown in there, but there are reasons these people are like this. Like, for example, there is one character who you pretty much would assume she all but is a Shotokan, which means she likes, young boys. But the thing I'll say, and yes, it is one of those that everyone in the game is kind of like, you horrible person kind of thing. You horrible person kind of thing, whatnot. And some of this, I'll say, some of it really, if you're uncomfortable with some of these topics, it's not the game for you. But there are a couple. They do try to explain why she kind of acts the way she does, and they, at least the developers or the story, gives an in-universe reason why she developed this fixation to a degree. And you go, okay, and that's not the right. The way she's acting is not right, but you at least now understand it, rather than her just being super creepy. There's kind of a reasoning behind it, and they're all all these people are they're imperfect people. I mean, these are your otaku cliches to like the umpteenth degree, but that's kind of the point. There are reasons that they are they're written this way. So I'm really curious to see where it's going to go. The reason I'm playing it is because I'm challenging myself this year to try and complete one game for 1,000 points on the Xbox and one platinum, or at least complete one game for my PlayStation 4 backlog a month. And so Our World Has Ended is kind of my game for this month, though I can kind of cheat a little bit because I did go back and play a PS2 game. So, it's one of those. But it's been really fun. If you haven't tried it yet and you're a fan of Japanese visual novels, see if you can find it on sale. It's available on Switch and on PS4 and I think Steam. So
What was the name
worth
of the
taking a look
game
at.
again?
Our World has ended.
Our World is ending. Right.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know if we have a review for it. I haven't checked yet, but check the site. see if
Well,
we
I
got some
think
news about
you'd
it,
be
too.
the one to do it, Ben.
Quite possibly, though.
Quite
We've got some other
possibly.
cool things in the pipeline, possibly too. I'll just say, Blaster Master 03 will get covered on this site somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Me or Josh will ensure that. And then I actually forgot to mention it during the E3 thing, but I'll just say it right now. Friends of Mineral Town's coming to Xbox. You bet your ass I'm going to basically write something about that. I'm done.
All right. Okay, John, what have you been playing lately? And don't say Elite Dangerous. We know you like it. Play something else.
Well, you know what? I actually haven't played Elite for
2
6
days?
weeks.
Okay.
6 weeks. It's been a while.
Wow.
But what I have been playing is you'll see that this is I have a Quest 2, by the way, and this is a paddle for a game on a table tennis paddle at that on Quest 2 called 11 table tennis, and yeah, it's amazing because I quite like playing table tennis as is anyway, and the physics on it is outstanding. It's almost like the real thing, right? And I'm not just saying that. You know, how, like you'd be playing VR, and it's like, oh, I feel like I'm playing this. This is all real. It's the ball when you hit it, it reacts the way it should do on a real table tennis. So you can like put a bit of spin, like you can chop the ball like that, and it will like spin accordingly on the table. So we're playing a lot of that because there's been a 120 hertz update. So that's been lots of fun. I played a preview of WRC 10, so I sat in on a presentation for that for the site. Pretty good. Quite enjoy a racing game every now and again. This one's a bit more on the simulation and more serious side, which is not really my bag. I prefer arcade, but I enjoyed it a lot actually, which kind of surprised me. It reminded me of Gran Turismo back in the day, I guess. On the PS1. I don't mean the vibe of the game. I meant how I felt while I was playing it. Right? I felt like I was smashing my head repeatedly against a brick wall trying to get my international S license. You know what I mean? Like, I'd screw up a corner and I'd be like, right, restart the whole fucking thing. Like, there's no fucking point doing this anymore. You know what I mean? I'm like, you have to get into that mentality when you're like, you're trying to run a perfect line. So I've been playing that, and one final thing, two final things. I'm a bit greedy. I'm reviewing Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition at the moment on PS5, but I also have it on my my PC here. So I'm going to do a comparison between what it looks like on PC with 4K ray tracing and 4K on my TV downstairs. So stay tuned for that one. And then last but not least, yes, I'm still playing Destiny 2. Guilty.
Get out. Okay.
This is easy, of course. My friends play it. Like, you know what I mean? I socialise with them. Like, the storytelling's
That's
getting
healthy,
good.
As long as you're having fun, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Don't let anybody tell you different.
Okay. Don't be me and try and complete games 100% because you will just hate yourself.
I will play Ghost of Tsushima though. Like next podcast, if I don't do it, there will be some kind of forfeit. Like that I have to I don't know, play that game that you reviewed recently, John, like a couple of months ago, whatever it's called, the Super Seducer.
You have to play the whole trilogy from start to finish.
Yeah, that's the forfeit.
100% each game.
I'll accept that. I'm not sure if I want to, but I will accept that forfeit if I don't play Ghost of Tsushima.
I wish you luck.
And then you have to tweet Richard Laruina what you thought and see how he responds. If I had to go for it, so do you. Okay. Okay. Anyway, let's move on to our newest member, Cory. What have you been playing lately?
First of all, thank you for saving me for last because I got a goddamn essay waiting for you on this one.
All right.
So,
Wait.
First of all, what?
I said sweet.
Yeah. First of all, Genshin has utterly consumed my life with the recent patch that they put out for the Midsummer Island Adventure. That's been doing guides for that has taken quite a toll on my time. When I'm not doing that, I've been playing on my phone recently. This little guy's been getting a hell of a workout because I downloaded Arknights on it because I already know how to play Girls Frontline and they're damn similar. So I figured
God,
I'd
you
go ahead and
showed your
check that
phone
out.
then.
What?
When you said this little guy got a workout, thank God you showed your phone.
2 months, that may change.
I've already got that covered. We wrote an article about a sale for those types of games.
Gentlemen, we are too old to be making these kind of jokes, really.
No,
we're not.
never.
No, we're
Never.
not.
Never.
You've
miserable
got to
job.
hurry up and become a dad, John, so you'll stop being so
Heather really wants me to have kids.
Hurry up.
Yeah, I know. Oh, God.
So, got Arknights going on. I started on that. They had some starter packs that really helped me out getting further on with that. I never thought that Gacha would go well with a tower defense game, but color me surprised it works out great. Actually, it's really fun and easy to get into.
Okay.
A lot of the character designs remind me a lot of Girls Frontline. That's my biggest one. I've been playing that long before I touched Genshin, so you'll probably end up seeing a few more articles on that later down the road. I know they're going to be doing a new banner for the childhood Carrillios, so I'll be doing an article on that. It's taking like next week. Adding to that, I got myself back into Warframe, which is a real bad idea on my end because they're just getting ready to have TennoCon, I think July 17th. And then after that, I'm going to be probably doing an article on the Sister of Parvos update because the only reason I came back was for Ureli, mainly because, I mean, I never thought I'd see a robot look so kawaii as fuck, but color me surprised again. After spending 500 hours on Warframe, it was hard for me. It was one of those things where it's like, I know I'm going to quit for about 6 months, and then I will be back. And here I am with that sitting on my backlog. So I have Arknight, Girls Frontline, Genshin, and Warframe. Sometimes I've been playing all 4 of them at the same time almost. Just trying to alternate between guides and articles. At one point, yeah, I did have Girls Frontline, Arknights, and Genshin all loaded up at one time on my desk. I'm lucky my battle station is the size of a friggin' car. But that's mainly what I've been doing. With live action or live update games like that, I constantly zipping back and forth between the different games to keep up with content as quick as I can. But my articles have been mainly on Genshin. Soon going to be on Arknights and Girls Frontline too. And hopefully I can get myself interested enough in TennoCon to participate in that, maybe do some live coverage if I can.
Okay.
All right. I was just thinking the other day, actually, when you mentioned playing it for over 500 hours and you'll take a break. I was thinking, here's a question: does gaming addiction exist, and what would you define as gaming addiction?
When you have forgotten to eat or sleep and you're pooping in a sock, you have a problem.
Maybe.
When there are bottles of Mountain Dew that clearly do not have Mountain Dew inside of them, you have a problem.
Yellow with it used to be.
That's not mellow yellow, kids. Don't drink that.
Yes. That was perfect.
Only marginally less healthy than drinking Mountain Dew, to be honest.
Can I nip to the toilet? Are we?
Yeah, don't you have a Mountain Dew? But no, gone.
Oh yeah, no. Sorry, it's right here.
Game of Fuel.
I remember seeing a long time ago some dude made a detachment on the back of his Xbox controller that held a hot pocket on it. I'm like, I'm gonna hit that point at some point.
Okay,
give me a little bit longer. I'm gonna hit that point.
Do you have like a moment like in your life where you've just thought like, oh bugger, I'm addicted, or like, oh crap, I've got a problem?
Yeah, that was when I sat down and said I spent 14 years on one RuneScape account, and I'm like, yeah, I need to leave. I have a problem.
Get out of here.
14 freaking years.
Forza Horizon 4. That was where I had my kind of all right, I need to be much more selective about the games I decide either I'm going to 100% or I need to just start deciding I'm not going to 100% this thing. I'm just going to play it. I'm still really debating whether I'm going to play 5.
The biggest pain is some of those, like the games that I play with Gacha that's got live service, you can never 100% them because they're always putting out new content.
That was Forza.
It's a constant. It is a constant battle. It was an uphill slope for me the moment I got into Genshin, and I started seeing them pouring out more and more content. And then, Francis, when he first got interested in, hiring me on, he's like, "You could be our local gacha guru." I'm like, "I swear I don't have a gambling addiction. I promise. I'm not going to ask you for this as a business expense because I will bankrupt you very quickly."
Yeah, no, when it's like I play for achievements and trophies, and so I remember I got I think they had the first expansion of Forza Horizon 4 out, so like I actually finished like my 1250, I was done, and then I knew we had the second expansion coming out, which was the Lego one, and I finished that, which was a pain in the ass for a couple of particular challenges with drifting. And I'm like, I'm done, it's over. And then there was one point where I was scrolling through my achievement list and realized, oh, they added more. I beat those. They added more. It was one of those where it was almost PTSD every single time I would check the account and find they added more achievements to Horizon 4. And I'm just going, no, I just want this to be over. And then now I'm playing Yakuza.
You can escape the nightmare, friend. I can't.
Cycle began again.
I will get the endings, but I do not care about getting all the achievements. I grew up with Nintendo. They never gave a shit about achievements, so that's what I'm focused on, just enjoying the game.
I used to be big into achievements when I was on Xbox, but once I got onto PlayStation, started doing trophies, it's like, I can't keep doing this. This is too much of a time sink.
It's not.
I gotta go elsewhere. Not that I don't like the idea of it. It's great to have a goal for that stuff, but there becomes a time, like you said, where you're spending more time than it is worth.
Yeah.
It's time for a change of scenery.
It's an indication of, honestly, in some cases, bad game design. Because there are some games where they want you to do some ridiculous task just repetitively, and you're like, well, you obviously intended a person to do this. Why? Or, you have to utilize some system you didn't think you had to utilize, and you really highlights the flaws of it. I mean, it's not really, like I said, there are some times where the excessive grind isn't terrible. Like, I don't necessarily mind for some games, all right, max out the characters to level 99 in an RPG. 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to get most of the way there anyway for challenging the super bosses, which is worth another couple of achievements or trophies. But then you have, like, in Neptunia, Rebirth 1 as an example, the ridiculous money grind for, like, a bronze trophy.
What was it? The first Neptunia game had like a level cap of 999, I think it was.
Speaking of
level cap.
Speaking of
but you didn't have to actually do that.
Speaking of leveling a character up to level 99, have any of you heard about the legend of the guy who tried to level up Cloud and Barrett in Final Fantasy VII to level 99 without leaving the first reactor?
No, but I believe it.
I can believe it.
Every day
did he succeed or go insane?
I'm not quite sure. I don't think I remember. I think like after a while, like he got quite a long way, and people thought, "Wow, this guy's really gonna do it. This guy's crazy." He'd wake up. He'd spend like 8 hours every day just with Cloud and Barrett fighting the same random encounters over and over and over and over again. And then I think some of them people started to question, like, hang on a minute, I question the authenticity of that screenshot, and they're like, oh god, no, wait, do you want me to start again? It's just I think it's times like that when I think, I mean, is this about proving your skill and endurance, or is this just insanity? What's the line?
Just something to do, I guess. Just something to do.
Something to do.
I mean, there are some times where I do enjoy a good grind. Like yesterday when I was trying to grind in Pokemon Shield, I was sitting there talking with friends, or I had, my headset in. I was listening to a speed run of someone trying to speed run SMT2, I think is what it was. Shin Megami Tensei 2, and I was like going, okay, like those moments where I can just kind of do something and like catch up on a podcast or a video or a race or something, I don't mind those as much. But that's also part of just playing the game. It's when it gets to the ridiculousness, like I said, of you reach some absurd level of money or spend like an extra. Sadly, Compile Hearts are really guilty of this. Fairy Fencer F is a great example again of the stupid money grind, which you had if you wanted any chance of actually completing that reasonably. Spend $5 for the DLC to give you the extra areas where you can actually level up to 999 and grind money, and it'll still take you like 20 hours. And I'm the dumbass who actually did it.
Jeez.
Because
I decided to get the DLC early on for Final Fantasy or Fairy Fencer F. What was that?
Dark Force?
Advent Dark. That's what it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
he picked that up and decided to get the DLC because he figured he could level himself up quickly. Bashed his head into the wall for like hours doing that because it would kill him. It would hit him once. He had to manage to swerve through all the random encounters, pick up the loot that was sent in along the way, and then get out without getting slaughtered. Because the moment he got into any fight at all, he had to basically rage quit, start it again.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself? Why did you choose to do this?
That's
like a normal human.
And then you have other games like Omega Quintet where the developers just absolutely hate you.
Oh my god, the time framing for some of those missions was evil. Getting the golden ending for that was evil. And
Advanced
I had my
mode.
friend show me.
Advanced mode. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Fucking I'm sorry, hold on. Fucking limit breaks. Fucking RNG goddamn game. I platinumed that bullshit because I was stupid enough to do it. And I actually have a video of me doing it on my YouTube channel because I wanted video proof that I beat Double X. And
you want a video proof that you lost your fucking mind.
Here's the hilarious part. I'm going into this going like the Double X fight's going to go completely terribly. I'm going to do this for 10, 20 times. First freaking try and it went through. And I just went, I give up. I'm done. The game's over. Goodbye, everybody. I'm sorry.
Then you walk out the window. Kind of like in that meme.
Just out the window. Done.
Discussion of video games to a group therapy session.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up, since you mentioned speedrunning, before I forget. Now, who's seen speedruns of the original Final Fantasy VII?
Not of the original.
No, okay, so everyone basically knows about it. Okay, so at the end of Midgar, kind of the Midgar, after you've just done that final chase, defending the truck with the with your sword, right at the end of the highway before you kind of rappel out of Midgar, there's a glitch where you can skip like right to the end of the game. And that's kind of why I was so confused. Like when I saw like Final Fantasy VII speedrun, it was only like a few hours. Like, how the hell can you do it in like just a couple of hours? That's crazy. But then it's there's a massive horrible glitch. Okay, and I just thought it was a kind of a cool coincidence that in the Final Fantasy remake, that's the bit where you kind of skip right to go to another dimension and skip right to fighting Sephiroth.
I'll say, if you ever watch speedruns, it is hilarious, especially glitch speedruns, which I love watching them just occasionally because some of the stuff that these people can pull off, you're just going like, how the hell did you, A, how'd you figure that out? And then B, you have to do what to pull this off?
Doom Eternal, when they found out that their weapon wheel caused that weird glitch to turn them into a basically spring-loaded human, I just soared right over the level. And I watched them like, how did you find that? Because I wouldn't have ever thought to try that. And then, of course, I also could appreciate a developer that doesn't patch it out. They're like, you know what? That's on us. I can respect the hell out of that.
There was this the speedrun of New Vegas. They did it in like Fallout New Vegas. They did it in 20 minutes. And I thought, how the hell? So apparently, if you kind of pull out a pistol, like the animation, if you do it in a certain way, it'll make you sort of jump forward, and your momentum won't stop. So they were basically kind of like flying to New Vegas, just instantly, meet up with Benny, then fly right to Caesar, and it's just like, what? Wow, how the how did people find out this stuff? And
Oh,
it's kind of like
crazy.
it's kind of like, I mean, there's so many speedruns where I kind of like, I want to see how someone can like use their skill. I mean, I guess, is it a different type of skill, finding glitches? I don't. Where
This
does
is where most of those glitches are found from their cats walking on the keyboard. And stuff happens.
yeah.
Freakazoid. So actually, I will say there is a channel if you actually want to look at some history of how some speedruns developed. There's a guy called Summoning Salt on YouTube. He does some fantastic history. Basically, he goes over the history of certain games. He's done stuff like Mario Brother. It's done like almost all the Mario games. So like Mario 1, 2. He's done 3. He's done even Mario World. One of the most recent ones he's done is, I haven't seen the whole thing. They're approaching a theoretical for the original Super Mario Brothers 1, a theoretical limit of what a human can actually do, and they're actually, it's the time sink is getting so low at this point. The time save is so low, so it's pixels upon pixels. But if you actually look into some of these, history, Speed Docs is another one that does some great stuff. They've done the Donkey Kong Country series. They've done, I think they didn't do Wind Waker. They did Minish Cap. But they've done, if you look into some of these history they'll actually go over kind of how it started, and they'll show kind of, hey, this glitch was found. Here's how this guy found this glitch actually, and then here's how they kind of apply it to the run. So you actually see the evolution of everything. It's really kind of cool.
I think there's a real kind of purity in some of these really old games. Like, well, yeah, that's what King of Kong was all about. Like, I mean, yeah, Donkey Kong, it's such an old game and such lacking in graphical complexity. I mean, they're not kind of so much finding kind of weird glitches or weird stuff to kind of help them skip content. It is just pure raw doing it over and over and over and over and over again.
It's strategy and skill.
Yeah,
and it really
it's just
comes
pure
down
strategy and skill.
But and I will say though, even with these guys who have to use some of these glitches, like there's like if you ever want to look at a ridiculously high skill run, check out any Donkey Kong Country 1 speed run, especially if they're using the glitch category of that. The pixel frame perfect crap you have to do to get some of these mid-air rolls to actually go, speedrunners hate it. It's one of the reasons they don't like, if you look at the Speed Docs video, they talk about it. They don't like running the category because it's that intensive. The skill threshold is so high. It makes the game honestly harder.
Kind of like
weird.
It's kind of like in Doom, where I can kind of really respect it. Because they kind of combine sort of skill with like manipulating the physics of the world. Like, say, if you sort of move along a wall if you're kind of running against a wall, it'll sort of accelerate you. So if you
the property of the wall,
yeah, I know. It's just because of how the collision detection works, and I just find stuff like that really cool to just shave like a second or two off. I just find that really cool. But anyway,
it's one of those.
Gentlemen, we're gonna have to call last call soon. We're coming up to our 2 hours where we start to wind down. So we're getting on to like our last shout outs, last words, last comments now. Benny, would you like to go first? Any last words?
I'll just say it once again because I forgot to mention before, and it is something I'm super hyped for. Friends of Mineral Town is coming to Xbox. I love my Story of Seasons. I love that game. I will definitely take a look at it. But also, Just USA, if you're a fan of adult visual novels, and I mean 18 plus because of sexual content, so if this isn't your thing, don't worry. Not for you, I understand. They are doing a massive sale right now where you can't buy this because this is the limited edition I have, but like Fruit of Grisaya is on there, which is on sale, I think, for like 50% off. There's all sorts of great stuff. Sayano Uta's for sale on there, as an example.
Wow.
So, I mean, there is, if you like, some of them are story-driven, others are just there for the fan service. Let's just put it that way. So if that is something you're interested in, it's a great way to kind of, find some cool titles, save some money. I sadly spent $100 because I love visual novels, so I will have stuff to play through for the next couple of months, especially considering I'm not going to AX where I would normally buy my physical copies. So, because there is no AX. But that's all from me. Thank you for putting up with me and my insane ramblings, as always.
Okay. Cory, final words, final shout-outs?
Just some simple stuff. If you happen to be going to check out TennoCon, I'm gonna be probably trying to cover that to the best of my ability when it drops because I back into that game. If I honestly gonna say this, if you don't have a gambling addiction, totally try out Genshin or Arc Knights or Girls Frontline. If you enjoy your anime stuff, dig in. There's some great content done by some great artists on there.
All right.
And thank you for putting up with my shenanigans here at the company. I'm so glad to be a member of Hey Poor Player.
Oh, the company. Jeez, that makes us sound very professional.
Yeah, very professional outfit.
I'll get.
You know what we're doing.
I'm
We've got
senior
corporate.
vice president of Hey Poor Player. Thank you very much.
Are we entering the attitude era of Hey Poor Player?
Yeah, I'll
Need to get our own company logo ties going on that we all got.
What are you doing? You're a degenerate. Oh, hell yeah.
Degenerates.
Oh, I'd love that actually. Okay, yeah. Oh, we'd have the rebel and the corporation. Oh, brilliant. Okay, yeah, we'd have Francis coming out, just kind of going like, you know,
Yeah, doing his walk.
Oh, brilliant.
We did a gift of that.
Okay, John. Last words, last shout-outs.
I will play Ghost of Tsushima, I promise.
Good.
That's one. All penalty of Super Seducer 1, 2, and 3 in one because live streams on Twitch marathon. Where
Oh,
I
God.
slowly lose my grip on reality. But besides that, I thought E3 was pretty good this year, with the exception of things I covered. The games were really good. I've obviously mentioned Stalker 2, but there are others that I didn't. So Rainbow Six Extraction was really cool. Forza Horizon 5 looked really cool. Intrigued by Stranger of Origin, but like the demo, I don't know. It's interesting. I thought the Marvel game looked pretty good. Guardians of the Galaxy, that looked pretty cool as well. Dying Light 2, that wasn't there, but that looks really good. I was a fan of the first one. Xbox had a great show. Shredders, which was an indie game, a snowboarding game. I used to snowboard. I really like the look of that as well. There are a lot of games. Go check them out. And yeah, that's that.
Awesome. Okay, Josh, final thoughts?
I just hope that everyone for the next E3 pays attention to how Devolver Digital does their presentations, because that was fucking amazing and hilarious. And I want more of that and less of these cringy hosts trying to make jokes that fall flat. That's it.
Well, I think that honestly is a prescription for every E3 ever, so I will wholeheartedly agree. Okay, well, guys, yeah, it's been awesome. It's been fun talking to you guys about E3 and everything else. And I think there's nothing else to say. I hope everybody else enjoyed watching this podcast as much as we enjoyed having it. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Wait, before you go, be sure to check out HeyPoorPlayer.com for more HeyPoor content and check out all our social media. And don't forget to check out my Twitter as well. That's me, Jonathan Trussler. Well, it's really the final goodbye now. Bye!